Welcome back to the Smugsy Show. I'm Smugsy, your host, identifying as the Barstool Cougar. Every Wednesday we meet here to talk about important things and important people. Today it's December 29th, 2021, and this is our New Year's show. We're going to make some bold predictions about 2022, how Dave Portnoy will clean house, channeling Donald Trump at Barstool Sports, the legend of the Wilbur and Kirk Minihane, and how mullets might kill the internet. But first, the Smugsy Show is presented to you by Smugsy, sleek and elegant joint ciggies made with organic cannabis rolled in all-natural, locally sourced paper. Look for Smugsy in the pretty indigo and marigold packs. Okay, first, Dave Portnoy will channel Donald Trump and clean house. Why do I predict that? Well, first of all, when I say Donald Trump, I don't mean President Trump, former President Trump. I mean Donald Trump as in the host of The Apprentice, you know, that reality television series he was on for, 10 years or so before running for president. And as you may recall in that show, his line, "You're fired." Yeah, well, Dave Portnoy is going to fire Erika Nardini in 2022. Barstool CEO, it's going to be live. It's going to be ruthless and brutal. Betrayal, really. And the internet is going to explode, and PENN stock will see the correction it needs. So that's it in a nutshell, but let's kind of unpack that because that's a lot there. Of course, Dave Portnoy is going to fire Erika Nardini in 2022. He has to. Look what's going on. First, you had the New York State legalized online gambling, and Barstool's bid lost. Okay, lost, didn't get a permit to operate in the state of New York, and lost not only to FanDuel and, DraftKings and Caesars, but to the Wynn Resort, okay? You know that guy? Steve Wynn, that, creep. He's the guy who, would get massages and manicures all the time and assault the workers. And then he had apparently German shepherds that took commands in German that he'd bring in with him when he was getting massaged and assaulting his employees. So that creep, his resort beat out Barstool, apparently, in New York. So there's that. The third quarter earnings, didn't meet Wall Street expectations, sent the stock tumbling. The stock's lost how much value? After a high of about 142 or something in March, it's down to, 50. And then the company's strength rating, Wall Street rates it 7 out of 99. The buck stops at the CEO, right? That's what they say. The buck stops at the CEO. Erika Nardini is the CEO, and except in this case, she's not a buck; she's a doe, and I think that might be the problem. That's what Dave is going to suggest: is that maybe they need a buck. Okay, maybe it's time to have a man in the job, and this is the statement that I think you can pretty much expect Dave Portnoy to make. It's time for this silly woke experiment to come to an end. Erika obviously sucks at her job, or else the PENN stock would not be tanking. We need a man of the house, and I will be interviewing contestants live in 2022. Watch this space. I don't take any joy in predicting that this is going to happen. It's the writing is on the wall. If it looks like I'm experiencing Schadenfreude, I'm not. In fact, it's the cat activists who really are going to push for this. As you know, the Cougars is the exclusive Barstool fan club for women who like dogs. Well, the cat people, they want to be a part of the Cougars and they can't. They're excluded because they're cat people. Okay, it's for women who like dogs. So these cat activists are the ones who are really pushing Dave to fire Erika because she's doing a big bad job. I mean, it's really no wonder why Dave Portnoy's shoulders are so weak, right? His shoulders are in tatters. Well, I mean, he's got everybody standing on top of him, including his CEO, who's too busy doing a newsletter, okay, babysitting on Facebook to get the darn stocks up. So he's going to fire. And the content is going to be amazing because it's going to take Erika by surprise. She's going to go nuts. Ruthless, brilliant move. Erika's going to launch a new company, right? This rage that she has with Dave when the rubber meets the road. And she finds out that her buddies in the office, okay, the CFO, Wajia Ahmed, and the CRO, Deirdre Lester, okay, one of them will have betrayed her. And so the rage that she has captured on video when Dave fires her, okay, Trump style, you're fired, it goes viral. And Erika is going to launch a new brand, Rager Lady Bitch Boss. Okay, Rager Lady Bitch Boss. Hashtag RLBB. So that's going to happen. Okay, she gets fired, but then she gets this brand. And this is what's going to be, I think, fun to watch is that, so Rager Lady Bitch Boss, RLBB, goes public with an anonymous SPAC who, it turns out, the funder was Dave. So then they get like back together because she's like, oh, it was you. I knew you probably wouldn't betray me like that. And he's like, yeah, it was me. I needed to do what I needed to do to make Penn stock great again. And I'm sorry that I threw you under the bus, but since now you have Rage Boss Bitch, what is it? Rager Lady Bitch Boss. It's all good. But since she left, guess who is going to be the interim CEO of Barstool? That's right, yeah. And I have really a lot of ideas, and the one that's really going to take off and kind of make a mark for me is I'm going to suggest that since the Arizona Bowl is canceled, that we do a Arizona Bowl fun run to support the women in Afghanistan. Okay, the women in Afghanistan who are living in cages again since the United States left and the Taliban returned to power. So the Arizona Bowl is going to okay? It's going to trans from a football game to Fuck the Taliban fun run, New Year's Day, okay? Fuck the Taliban fun run. It's going to bring the Smugsy show to a whole new level, and it's going to really bring, I think, Barstool Sports to a whole new level. So the 2022 is going to be a really good year as long as you just can get through that, that first, when Erika gets fired, that's going to be, but it's going to be exciting. Okay, now on to the legend of the Wilbur and Kirk Minihane. Yeah, I think Podcast Jesus is going to take it up a notch in 2022. It says it right there in my notes. Minihane, the preacher man, will make a play for the white evangelical stoolies and compete with Deion Sanders in the fire and brimstone and passing the basket. So, I mean, if you think about it, that's a very natural move. Minihane, the preacher man, it works. I think the kids are in school, might be better for the family, but this Wilbur, okay, the show that's been scheduled and rescheduled several times in Boston at the Wilbur Historic Theater in the Theater District. Well, it's going to become like sort of a metaphor. And so Minihane, the preacher man, on a journey to get to the Wilbur, and it's more about the journey than the destination. And talking about the struggles. In a way, it reminds me of that 1965 book by Dr. Seuss. I had trouble in getting to Salisalu. I don't know if you've read that. This little, like the protagonist in the story is one of these creatures, animated creatures created by Dr. Seuss, who is living a happy life, and he stubs his toe and gets bit by like a creature. So he decides to try to find a place that's problem-free. This guy comes by, and he says he's on his way to Salisalu, to the city of Salisalu on the banks of the beautiful River Wahoo, where they never have any troubles, at least very few. So the guy in the book thinks he's trying to get to the promised land without any troubles, and then decides or realizes he's going to have to confront his troubles, and that's what Kirk Minihane is going to do. He'll have kind of like a cult-like following, and podcast Jesus will realize he must face troubles instead of running away. It's a little bit like Al Green, okay? You know Al Green. Better stay together. You know, Al Green sold tons of hits. Well, here he is going along, making these records, Take Me to the River, okay? Tired of being alone. Look him up, Al Green. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, his career's going along, and then all of a sudden, his girlfriend, okay, in a fit of rage, throws hot grits on him, scalds him. He has to go to a burn hospital, and then she kills herself. So he decides to go from, like, rock and roll star to preacher man, kind of like what Kirk Minihane's going to do in 2022. The girlfriend threw hot grits on him and killed herself. He became a pastor for a few years, established the Full Gospel Tabernacle Church in Memphis. So nobody's going to actually throw hot grits on Kirk Minihane, but it's like a metaphor. Kirk's going to have struggles getting to the Wilbur, the promised land, but his followers will be there, and they'll make the pilgrimage, and then he's going to come back, the Three Faces of Kirk in 2022, coming to a podcast near you. He's going to pass the hat, probably a little Gregorian chants. I can picture him, can't you? Just like, you know what a Gregorian chant is, right? It's like monosyllabic Latin. Oh, yeah. Lovely. He'll do that, and then he'll, I think, trans back to edgy, cocky, petulant Kirk. So there's a lot to look forward to for Minifans, I think, you know, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, which is good. And the only problem that I see in 2022, and this is a real problem, and that's mullets. You know, those haircuts, they just say follower. You know, the haircuts. Well, if 2021 didn't have enough bad stuff, okay, COVID, I don't know, bad weather, COVID, the assault on the Capitol, COVID, Afghanistan, COVID. Well, also 2021 was apparently the year of the mullet. That was the most popular haircut. What I'm worried about is if this algorithm on TikTok that, you know, is causing teenagers to have eating disorders and to diagnose themselves as having personality disorders, if that algorithm tells every one of these kids to get a mullet, I think it'll just be so disgusting. You know, an entire generation of skinny mullets that were finally, as a country, going to drop our phones and say, enough is enough, and we're going to come together. We're going to hold hands, maybe metaphorically, since of COVID, but we'll sing around a tree, maybe like the Who's in Whoville, okay? What was that song? For who forest, who Taurus. Yeah, that one. Or another one, my favorite, Dance of the Clairvoyants, by Pearl Jam. I know the girls wanna dance, clairvoyance in a trance. I know the boys wanna grow, they're fixing my things. Stand back when the spirit comes. Okay. So, my advice for all of you in Whoville, don't get a mullet in 2022. And for more good advice and friendship, subscribe to the show. That's it for this week's show. I hope you join me again next week. Leave a comment. Follow me on Twitter @SmugsyGirl. And until next time, take care.